Welcome to the Beantown Podcast, our Valentine's Day edition, Sunday, February 10th, 2019. What's going on? How are ya? It's Quinn David Furness, host, creator, best boy, key grip, etc. of the Beantown Podcast, or the People's Podcast, as I like to call it, one of Baltimore City's top 500 podcasts and your new leading source for misinformation. How is everyone doing? My name is Quinn, and we are coming to you live from 817 St. Paul Street to talk about Valentine's Day, love, loss, sex, sorrow, grief, and a whole slew of other topics. We've got a lovely love correspondent who's going to be coming on the program in just a couple minutes here, but I figured I'd get us started with an old-fashioned rant, get a lot of emails from the fans over at beantownpodcast.com, newly introduced now in its beta stage, and beantownpodcast@yahoo.com. You can always email us. Again, that's Beantown, B-E-A-N-T, podcast at yahoo.com, saying, Quinn, we love what you're doing. We listen almost every year, and we would love to hear you do some more rants. So here we go. And before I jump into this, I should note that listener discretion is advised. When you're listening to the Beantown Podcast, number one, we'll occasionally use some objectifying language. And number two, the podcast is just objectively terrible. And a word that I have in my vocabulary, but I actually learned the definition of the word last night. And let's just, Sesame Street has a letter and a number of the day. Let's make this the Beantown word of the day. Are you ready? Ecumenical. I'll say that again. Ecumenical. So if you know what that means, leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, retweet. We're on Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, not CastBox yet, Google Play, Apple Podcast, iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, BeantownPodcast.com, and the likes. You know where to find us. But here's the deal. Weddings. The loving union between a man and a woman, or a man and a man, or a woman, or whomever you choose to be. I've come out here, I defended the 19th Amendment. You know my stance on human rights. But let's talk about plus ones at weddings. Here's the deal. When you're having a wedding, it's a good idea. It's a nice gesture. It's a word I like because it sounds like jester, which is sort of what I am, but it's gesture with a G. It's a nice gesture to offer your friends or the invitee, as I will refer to them as from here on forth, a plus one. Now, for those of us who don't know, a plus one refers not to addition or multiplication, but actually bringing another person to the wedding that the invitee has been invited to. Now, conventional logic, conventional wisdom says once you send that invitation, once the invitation leaves your mailbox, the responsibility or the power regarding that plus one is then transferred from the wedding planner, the bride, the groom, whomever, to the wedding invitee. I believe there was a Supreme Court case about this. I don't know, maybe. But that responsibility, that power is then shifted. It's shifted. If you could see my hand, I'm doing a shifted motion to the person being invited. And the person in charge of the wedding, unless there is some sort of bad blood of some kind between the potential plus one and the person whose wedding it is, all bets are off, right? If I get invited to a wedding and I'm given a plus one and I really want to bring, I don't know, my sister, I think that that's my God-given right to be able to do that because this is America. And that's how liberty works. So let me tell you something. I got a friend. She's been invited to a number of weddings coming up this spring and this summer. And, being a good-looking guy such as myself, I'm a classic choice for the plus one. I've been the plus one before. I play the role well. I'm fine. Don't make a scene. I show up. I dance. I get down. I do the toasts. Clink, 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 glass. You know how it goes. There are restrictions, however, being placed on who my friend can bring as a +1. And apparently, I've been blacklisted from multiple weddings that I'm not allowed to go to simply because of who I am, because of my character. And I don't want to get into this. It might be because I'm a white male, but I should not be subjected to this sort of, I'll say it, podcasting harassment is a new term that I just came up with. I don't know if it's because they don't want celebrities at the wedding, if it's a paparazzi thing, attention being taken away. I don't have to do my stand-up act at the start of the ceremony. I'm fine showing up and saying, I'll just sit in the back here and nibble on crackers and watch you guys do it. I don't have to be the center of everything. I get it. But I shouldn't be blacklisted from this wedding simply because you say so, right? Once the wedding invite goes out the door, you lose that power, you lose that responsibility. So for more on this, I would like to bring in a newly introduced, fresh off the presses, Beantown correspondent on all things love and Valentine's Day. Alexa Brown, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, Quinn. Thanks for asking.
Okay. Now, let's bring you in on this issue of the +1s and the plus snubs. What are your thoughts on that? Give us the rundown.
So I cannot say that too many of my friends are getting married right now, so I haven't personally faced this problem myself. I do understand the whole, not wanting to control who your invite list to your wedding is. I can't say I understand that. Obviously, I'm not getting married, so I don't know that personally. But also, if you give someone the opportunity to invite someone else, just explicitly say who those people are that you're afraid of causing kind of tension at the wedding, making sure that they're not going to be on someone else's +1. I don't know, it sounds kind of confrontational, but that way you can kind of control the people who you don't want to be there, and then maybe you can just meet some new people at your wedding.
Yeah, it kind of sounds to me, and I'll give you a hint what I'm thinking here. Mm-hmm. It was from the 50s to the late 80s, early 90s. It is in Eastern Europe / Asia. It rhymes with Moviet Funian, and Joseph Stalin was head comrade for multiple years. It's the Soviet Union. It's communist, and this is a clear infringement on +1 rights. And I don't know if the ACLU listens to my podcast with any frequency, but I don't know. We might have to get them involved.
Yeah, I can't say I've done any reading on discrimination on the basis of a wedding date.
Yeah, it's podcasting harassment, and I won't stand for it. But we are already 8.5 minutes in here. So, Alexa, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We've got some fun, flirty Valentine's Day topics and questions that we're going to run through. And all Alexa's idea. You know, she's been calling us for weeks saying, Quinn, when can I come on the podcast? I would love to talk about love. I'm a big, 3 dates a weekend type of girl. When can I share my insights? So, Alexa, you're on. This is your moment. How are you feeling today?
I'm really just excited to be here and talk about something that I'm very passionate about, which is all things love. Perpetually single is actually how we would use the words to describe me, but I tend to be someone people come to for advice on these topics for some reason, so I'm happy to provide my little Ask Alexa column, if you will.
I like that. Let's a lot of our listeners might think they know what love is or what love means, but I think it's important to establish a groundwork before we move on to some of our more romantic topics here. So let's talk about the meaning of love. Alexa, what does love mean to you?
Well, first, Quinn, I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever taken the 5 love languages quiz?
So I think I'm like an ITNF or something.
That would be Myers-Briggs, and I mean that's a good place to start. I'm a ENFJ, For people who don't know that, Google it. I've always wanted to give that piece of advice for someone who I don't actually want to explain things to. But no, the 5 love languages is how you like show up in a relationship and how you want people to show appreciation for you. Mine is quality time. Does that sound like that might be relevant to you, Quinn?
I think I'm a Hufflepuff.
Hey, me too.
Twins.
That's also important. I'm always going to ask which house you're in. If I'm going to be dating you, you better love Harry Potter. So that's what
817 St. Paul, and it's a beautiful studio apartment, not a house. But quality time, I think, is very important. I know Roger Federer has a deal with some sort of watch company, and I will tell you, quality time is very important because one time I woke up in the morning, I knew something was wrong because of the way the sun was already hitting my bed. My iPhone had frozen overnight, and not the fun kind with Idina Menzel. My alarm, therefore, had not gone off, and I was late for work, thus missing quality time at the office. So I understand what you're getting at here.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm trying to say. So love just shows up differently for different people, and the way that you want to have conversations with your significant other, even family members or friends, right? Those are all kinds of different relationships where love can take place, in my opinion.
Should love be scary?
I don't think so, but I think it is. It shouldn't be, but yes.
What's a romantic comedy that you've seen lately that was so bad it was spooky?
Oh my gosh. I recently watched, what's the one? Oh my goodness. I Love You, Man.
Channing Tatum.
I watched it on Netflix and I couldn't even make it all the way through it because it's like a rom-com plus a bromance in a movie, and it was just, and I love Paul Rudd, I think he's great, but it was Jason Segel, that's the other person, and it was terrible.
I'm sorry you had to experience that.
You know, me too. It was a waste of a couple hours.
It sounds like love can be scary.
Absolutely. I think it can, depending on like your level of investment, fear of commitment. That one's really good. All sorts of stuff.
Would you mind singing Love Love by Nat King Cole?
I would mind.
All right.
No one wants to hear that.
Last question on this meaning of love. I think it's really important and it's very on topic. Who is your sexual hero?
Let's see. This one might be a little bit different, but I would say Anna Kendrick. You know Anna Kendrick? She's a short
I saw
actress.
Not A Quiet Place, A Simple Favor with Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively, and when they started getting it on, man, I had to clear out of that theater fast.
You see, I have not seen that movie, but I've read her memoir. It's called Scrappy Little Nobody, and she is just like a really cool person. However, I will add that she's really short, and I am really not. I'm about 5'9", maybe 5'10" on a good day. So there would probably be some different logistical issues.
Oh, my. We'll save those for later. Okay, so, Alexa, you're really big on Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, Plenty of Fish, Match.com, eHarmony, Farmers Only, Blacks Only, White Nationalists Only. So I think you're the perfect person to get some dating app advice from. So let's just start off. Tell us a little bit about your own experience using dating apps.
So let's just talk about Bumble, because that's the one I'm most familiar with. And by most familiar with, I mean I love to swipe right. You're going to hear this is a sort of source of contention among people, but a lot of women just use Bumble for an ego boost. And so I have definitely used it for that purpose, just for proof that there are men out there who are taller than 6 feet who might be interested in someone like me.
So here's a fad we've seen pop up on the internet. So women seem to be very concerned on dating apps such as Bumble with men's height. But when men turn it around the other way and they ask women how much they weigh, there seems to be a disconnect in terms of how that's received. You have any thoughts on that?
I think I understand the double-edged sword, although I can't say that I would appreciate being asked my weight by a man, but I also understand the reverse side of it, which is why I don't typically ask. But I do appreciate on dating apps when men list their height. However, I've come across a few men that I know, because I still live in the same town that I lived in for high school and things like that, who I know are lying about their height. So it's just kind of one of those things that you have to figure it out for yourself. And are you willing to take the risk?
For those curious, Alexa is about 92 pounds dripping wet. So put that on your Bumble. When we're talking about picking out 5 or 6 photos for Bumble profiles, how many of those photos should have the dog ear Snapchat filter?
Are you talking about women using the dog ear Snapchat photo or men?
Oh, probably both.
Let's see. I mean, I think women really like to use that filter because it also has like a blurring effect on the skin, but I wouldn't recommend it just if you're trying to be yourself. I know some people don't use dating apps that way ever, but for men, definitely none ever. But if you have a dog in your photo, I think we all know that that's good karma.
Speaking of not using dating apps that way, Bumble's got Bumble Date, but they also have Bumble BFF. Have you had any luck with Bumble BFF?
I can't say that I've tried it, and I can't say that I know anyone else who has, but it's been intriguing to me, and I definitely get the email ads for it to my email address that I use to sign up for the app.
Yeah, it seems risky. I just feel like most people would use it as a backdoor sort of type of thing. No gay pun intended, but yeah, I don't know. It just, that's what.
Have you given Bumble BFF
no,
a try, Quinn?
Well, yeah, I turned it on like once, and I think I came across about 2.5 people, and that's about all I found. And neither or none of them swiped right back on me. So the other issue is, when you match with other guys on Bumble BFF, you can't actually talk because there's no lady to go first. So you kind of run into a dead end pretty quickly there.
Yeah, that sounds like an issue with the app.
Yeah, tell me about it. Although, Bumble ran a Super Bowl ad. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was basically like a porno, but yeah. What's your go-to pickup line? Because you're on Bumble all the time, so you're always the one making the first move. So what are you feeling there for a pickup line?
Oh gosh, you really have to take into account the information that the other person has listed about what they're interested and things like that. I cannot say I've ever actually reached out to anyone over Bumble because I am a complete chicken, no matter what way you look at the situation. But I live in Colorado, and so every single man who I've ever seen on this app loves skiing and the outdoors and all of that stuff. And really, my pickup line, if I were to send it, would essentially be like, doesn't like outside at all. Deal breaker, yes or no.
That just seems very basic.
I'm a very literal person. If you ask anyone, like my friends or who I work with, I know you're included in that group. But I'm a straight shooter, Quinn. I
think there's some way to incorporate getting snow plowed or something into a pickup line. I don't know. Just kind of brainstorming here.
I'm just not that creative.
Yeah, sexually creative, I would say, is my, when I'm looking at the 5 love questions that we were talking about earlier, I would say smells nice, sexually creative, has a good relationship with their dad, Hufflepuff, and Aries rising were probably my 5. Yeah.
Wow. That's a specific list.
Well, specific man with specific tastes.
I said I like literal. That's good.
Yeah. What would you say to all those eligible bachelors listening right now? Why should they swipe right on you this Valentine's Day?
So this is actually a serious conversation that I had with some friends a little while back. It's like, what makes you a good partner? And my answer is typically I can get on board with whatever it is you do for a living, whatever it is you're interested in. I dated a computer engineering major in college very briefly, and he was very hesitant to talk to me about what he was interested in because he thought it would bore me. And I will just listen to anything. I'm a pretty good listener, so I can just be interested in pretty much about anything.
Good listener. I'll write that down. I wasn't really listening to the rest of what you said. Last question here on the idea of dating apps, and then we're going to move into a fun, sexy, rapid-fire round. A lot of people have been moving to dating apps after the official shutdown of Craigslist Personals a couple months back. What are you going to miss most about Craigslist Personals?
I don't know that I'm going to miss Craigslist Personals all that much. There is some scary stuff that's happened here in Colorado with Craigslist and things like that. So, I think the dating apps are somewhat more reliable. Although, if Craigslist is really more based in your community, then go for it until it's gone.
Speaking of crazy things, you hear about that guy that killed that mountain lion?
Maybe?
That was crazy stuff.
Weird stuff happens here.
Yeah, Colorado's crazy, man. Let's move into our rapid fire section here, and then we're going to read some advertisements. So I'm going to give you 2 love songs, and you just got to pick one. You feeling up for it?
I'm so ready.
All right, here we go. First selection, I'll Make Love to You by Boyz II Men, or Endless Love by Diana Ross and Lionel Richie.
Boyz II Men, always. I know that's probably a controversial answer because Diana Ross and Lionel Richie are so classic, but Boyz II Men.
What's your favorite Boyz II Men song?
I'll Make Love to You by Boyz II Men.
Is that the only Boyz II Men song you know?
Yep.
It is now. Motown Philly, you got to check it out. I'll send it to you after. Next one, How Deep Is Your Love by the Bee Gees, or I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston?
Whitney Houston, again, really basic. Gotta love everything that she does. So that's a good one.
Who was your favorite Bee Gee?
Again, couldn't tell you.
All right.
My music selection is a plethora of Broadway music soundtracks and then a couple of other random bits and pieces from pop music.
Yeah, Boyz II Men, apparently. What's your favorite Broadway soundtrack at this moment?
Oh gosh, at this moment in time, I really like the Mean Girls soundtrack. That one's really good.
Lindsay Lohan, Rachel McAdams,
Yep.
the blonde lady, Amy Poehler. It's unforgettable. That's good stuff.
You got this, the whole cast list.
Amanda Seyfried, that's her name.
Mm-hmm.
Mamma Mia. Next one, Thank You Next by Ariana Grande, or Every Breath You Take by The Police?
Well, considering Every Breath You Take is actually a song about stalking, let's stick to the song about self-love. Thank You Next by Ariana Grande.
There's a clip on YouTube of Sting and Springsteen singing Every Breath You Take, and they're just jamming, and they're loaded.
It's a classic, but I just can't get behind the meaning of the song. I can't.
Well, if you're concerned with the meaning of the song, this next one might not be great. Love Hurts by Nazareth, or Bye Bye Bitch Bye Bye by Motorhead?
I can't say I know either of those songs, so which one would you pick?
Probably Bye Bye Bitch Bye Bye. Although,
is that like a motto, something you sing in your head on the way to work in the morning?
Oh, yeah, as I'm reading those apps, definitely. That's a good choice. Love Hurts is a classic rock song, though, so I'll send you that one as well.
Okay.
Last one, I think you're going to like this. F You by CeeLo Green, or Cry Me a River by Justin Timberlake?
I love Justin Timberlake, not just as a singer or a performer, but he's just a really lovely human being to look at. So I'm going to pick Cry Me a River.
Okay, well, while Alexa cools off over there, we're going to take our halftime intermission and read a couple advertisements. I do want to mention, first and foremost, I should have done this at the beginning. I completely forgot. Thank you to everyone who donated to our Pledge Drive fundraiser. I thought we had wrapped it up, and then yesterday we get another donation, so we're going to be reaching out to Tariq about that. Thank you so much. But we are pretty much at $300 now. We set out with an initial goal of $235. Again, last year we raised about $70, so this year we increased by whatever that is, like 300%. This is fantastic. You all know this from the state of the podcast, but BeantownPodcast.com is now live thanks to your generous donations. We're running another year of full unlimited hosting on SoundCloud thanks to your donations. Donor tier incentive emails asking you what you want, what prizes you're looking for are going out now. They're going out this weekend. So thank you to everyone who's donated. Really successful Pledge Drive fundraiser. We reached our goal in like 6 days. It was amazing. And I was thinking I was going to have to use next week to just do an actual telethon, really bring in the money, maybe shave my head or something. But we don't even have to do that this year, which is fantastic. So thanks to everyone for doing that. In 2 weeks, we're going to be having our Oscars special. We'll be bringing host of the Car Ride Convos podcast, Ryan Austin Ligon, on, and we'll be making our picks. A very tough year for the Oscars, but we're going to be doing our best. But let's get to our ads here, and then I know you're all listening for Alexa, so we'll get back to that. Home Pride, Oregon. Are you tired of selling your house for less than a quarter of what it's worth, all because you couldn't find a reliable home inspector in time? Well, Oregon listeners, there's good news. Home Pride Inspection Services in Bend, Oregon is Central Oregon's hottest new home inspection provider with inspection services including things like heating and cooling, roofing, plumbing, and so much more. Home Pride Oregon is both contractor certified and home inspection certified, so you know you're getting the good stuff. If you're tired of big real estate stranglehold on the home inspection market and you want a safe certified home inspector you can trust, call Steve at 541-207-1101 or visit homeprideoregon.com. That's 541-207-1101 or visit homeprideoregon.com. Home Pride Oregon. Inspection perfection. I want to give a shout out to the Samsung Q2U series. We got dual microphones going today. That's twice the power, twice the gigahertz. Been our long-standing recording partner here for well over a year. Doing great things. And don't forget, when God speaks, he uses a Samson. Last thing here. I've been talking about the TV guide for a while. You know, I used my Delta Spirit Air Marshal points to get a TV guide subscription for this year, and I ordered it like 2 months ago, and I got nothing. Thinking, boy, I'm never going to get a TV guide with John Goodman on the cover promoting the Connors and saying he's back. Well, lo and behold, this week, you know what comes in the mail? A copy of my TV guide with Tom Selleck from Blue Bloods on the cover. His mustache has never looked better. A lot of people don't know this. Tom Selleck is like 87, but he's still kicking it. So good on him. And I have my TV guide. As a reminder, I don't own a TV, but at least I know what's on. So let's get back into our interview here. We've been talking with Alexa Brown, Love Correspondent on the Beantown podcast. This is our Valentine's Day episode. We've discussed the meaning of love. We've gone through some dating app tips. We've talked about different houses, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, etc. And we finished up with rapid fire love songs. So now we're going to dig a little bit more into the Valentine's Day spirit, and we're going to start off with Valentine's Day gifts. And so this is a little bit more like a Today Show segment. Just call me Al Roker. So Alexa, welcome back to the program. What are some Valentine's Day gifts that you got your eye on this year?
Considering my Valentine's Day gifts will probably be coming from my parents again, I'm hoping maybe a Starbucks gift card, maybe some brownies. Food is always really solid.
Like brownies or like Colorado brownies?
Like normal brownies, Quinn.
See, that's confusing because in Colorado, it's inversed,
They're
flip-flops.
special, I understand.
Yeah. What's your drink order at Starbucks?
Right now it is probably a London Fog latte because I'm fancy like that.
Now, for those of us who've never heard of that, what does that include?
It's Earl Grey tea and milk.
So no coffee.
No.
This is why we're losing so badly to China. You go to Starbucks and we're not even ordering coffee anymore. Now, do you get the tall, the Ariana Grande, the Venti triple, or the deluxe size?
Grande, purely average when it comes to my order.
I think if you ever have a perfume line, you can call it purely average.
I think that sounds great.
Yeah. Oh, this next question is one I've been meaning to ask you ever since I wrote it 2 days ago. The Russell Stover Whitman's giant sampler of assorted chocolates is a popular Valentine's gift. We all know this. But it's also famous for being an extremely risky minefield of different chocolates. It's like you're playing Battlefield with sweetness. What's your strategy when it comes to picking out chocolates from the box?
I actually like to do this with other people. So we recently did this in my office, but I did get a smaller sample box for Valentine's Day yesterday. And my strategy is to do it with multiple people around me, and they're also participating in this challenge because if one goes down, we all go down together, most likely.
I'm glad you said that, and I'm also glad you brought up the Russell Stover Whitman's giant sampler box, because I've got a friend, and I've done the same thing you've done, except my friend is allergic to coconut. And so we like to play this game as well, and it's sort of a Russian roulette type of situation. It can really bring some spark, some energy to your Valentine's Day, because you don't know if, 5 minutes everyone's going to be satisfied with their chocolate choices or if you're going to be riding an ambulance to the ER. So I like what you're saying there. If we all go down, we go down together. Yeah, it sounds like you and Anna Kendrick. When it comes to precious gems, which ones are you feeling this Valentine's Day? What do you like?
I'm trying to think. I'm not really into a ton of jewelry. I won't be buying myself any of that, obviously. So, again, food-related ring pops, awesome.
Do you like the big hoops?
Like hoop earrings?
Yeah.
I can't say I wear those very often either.
I'm going to buy you some big hoops, okay?
Okay.
I'm making a note right now. What are your top tips for men shopping at Victoria's Secret this Valentine's Day?
I would typically say don't. That sounds like a risky maneuver to me. But however, we already discussed that my love language is quality time, and I really like food. So if we just stick to the tried and true categories, I think venturing into Victoria's Secret it's risky territory unless you know exactly what you're looking for.
I like to go into Victoria's Secret and get those booty shorts that have fun words or phrases right across the cheeks. My favorites would be juicy or insert here. What do you like?
I'm not sure I like either of those. It's not very classy.
What about a create your own?
Sorry?
Or, okay, let me interrupt you right there. You just said it. You got the perfect idea. It's classy, but the ASS are in all caps.
Oh, no, I walked right into that one.
Oh, man. You got so many good ideas. I'm so glad we made this happen.
Oh, gosh.
Last question here about gifts. If you're a failing podcast host from Baltimore and the most important lady in your life is your mother, what are your tips for gifts this year?
Oh my gosh, I don't think you can go wrong with flowers. I think my mom would always appreciate stuff like that, so flowers are really great. And if you're out of town, that's also the best method of doing that, is getting those delivered. A phone call, right?
I don't want to send mixed signals.
Does that sound like a lot of work?
It sounds like what I do for Mother's Day, and this all sounds like it's getting too commercial.
That's what Valentine's Day is. That's the cynic in me. Valentine's Day is a very commercial holiday, Quinn.
What if I got my mom some big hoops?
You just have to know if she's going to wear them or not.
I think she likes big hoops about as much as she likes a hole in the head.
And say it sounds a little risky too.
Yeah, I got a lot to think about. Good thing Valentine's Day isn't until Thursday.
That's true.
Yeah. We got one last category here I want to get to. Sexy Valentine's Day date ideas. I think this is where you're really going to bring it home. Now, the obvious choice for a sexy Valentine's Day date would be an intimate dinner at Chili's. But it is worth noting at this point, and by the time you're listening to it, it might be Monday or Tuesday, those Chili's are going to be all booked up. Thursday night reservations, we're probably thinking like 2 months ago, all your area Chili's filled. Because what's better than being with the ones you love and chips and guac? I mean, frankly, chips and guac are the ones that I love. But getting back to the question here, something that a lot of couples, and I think you've done this, Alexa, like to do is naked night, which is exactly what it sounds like. What are your thoughts on naked night?
I would say, first of all, that you are wrong in assuming that I have done that. However, no, I support you doing whatever you want to do on Valentine's Day. I'm really sad that Chili's is probably going to be booked up. That sounds like my ideal Valentine's Day date. So I don't even know how you could get over that not being a possibility. But if naked night is the only thing that you have on the books, then go for it.
What about naked juice? You ever drink that stuff?
Yeah.
That to me seems like a commercial racket. You're paying like $4 for juice. I don't get it.
Oh, but the mango one's so good.
Better than naked night?
Probably.
I don't know how that's possible. Naked night sounds like every night for me in the summer because it's like 90 degrees out here. And this might be an overshare, but when it's summer and I live alone and I'm just chilling at home, we're going no clothes all the time.
You're not the only person to do that. Zero judgment from over here.
Are you speaking from personal experience?
I am not.
I'm saying just give it a try one of these summer nights. I don't know what it's like in Colorado, but I'm just saying, naked night, whether you're in a committed relationship with another person or a committed relationship with your local Chili's, it can be a big win on Valentine's Day. So give it a try. We'll bring you back, and we'll, after you try it out, and you can share your thoughts with us.
Right.
Another popular option for Valentine's Day dates, if you can't get into Chili's, is the sexy survey. That breaks the ice, improves your time in the bedroom in more ways than one. What are some of your favorite sexy survey questions? What do you like to ask your partner to really get in the mood this Valentine's Day?
Well, we discussed at the beginning of this podcast that I am of the perpetually single variety of women, so I can't say that I have ventured into the territory of many, if any, of these questions, but I also didn't look up the quiz when you sent it to me. So do you want to share some of your favorite questions, Quinn?
I'm going to have to open it. So we're going to vixendaily.com, which is also my homepage on my internet browser. Sexy pictures. NSFW. I like to say NSFW, not safe for work, but safe for the podcast. So we're going to jump right down to the super naughty questions list. Let's see. Oh, you'll like this one. You'll feel very comfortable. What's the weirdest sexual fantasy you have?
I feel very comfortable with this question. No. Yeah, these questions all make me super uncomfy, in short.
Let's see. It's a question about toys. I'm not going to ask that one. Let's see. Have you ever had a threesome?
See, Quinn, we're close, but we're not that close.
See, we're getting closer because of the super naughty questions list. I'm thinking like Hufflepuff, After Hours, yada, yada, yada. There's got to be some good Harry Potter fan fiction out there.
Oh, I bet again, can't say that I really have ventured into that territory because it's probably pretty weird. But yes, I would assume that exists.
Okay, last super naughty question, and this one we're getting really wild. What clothes do you have on right now?
This is going to be super sexy. I am wearing leggings and one of those Spirit jerseys, which were really popular in about the time frame from like early 2013 to mid 2015. Like every sorority girl in college wore them, which is exactly who I was when I bought it. And my hair is up in a bun, no makeup on. It is a no makeup Sunday.
It's the Sunday wind down. Well, you
Exactly.
gotta, yeah, I feel you. I've got one last question here, and then we're gonna make it light again. Strip poker. We've all played it. We all love it. The greatest part about strip poker is when you lose, everyone else wins. What's your wildest strip poker story?
I am really terrible at improvising, so I have no fun stories to share with you of that variety, but I have a feeling that you do, Quinn.
You were in a sorority in college. Come on. Give me the good stuff.
Hey, now, that I feel like is making an assumption.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm thinking I could get booty shorts that have Assumption on it and the ASS is in all caps.
I feel like you would probably be right. That is probably available on Etsy or something.
I love Etsy. I should open an Etsy shop.
I think you have some pretty creative ideas about merchandise so far.
Yeah, I'm a very sexually creative merchandise person. Alexa, you've been a champ. You've been a trooper. You answered these questions even though I gave them to you like 48 hours ago. What do you actually do on Thursday night?
Probably nothing. I will probably be sitting in my apartment cooking some ravioli from Trader Joe's, # not sponsored. And then I will probably be watching some true crime documentary. I just watched the Ted Bundy confessions tapes. I haven't been able to sleep for the last week.
What are your thoughts on the whole Zac Efron, Ted Bundy thing?
I'm really excited to see the movie still because Zac Efron is just one hell of a good-looking man, but pretty creepy, but I think pretty accurate based on everything that happened in that whole situation.
Did you see the Zac Efron Instagram post with his brother?
Which post?
I don't know. I saw a BuzzFeed article about it like 2 days ago.
Oh, that in fact that his brother is somewhat equally as attractive as he is.
He's got better abs.
Oh, I don't know. I feel like they're competitive.
I guess we're going to have to go look at this after we finish recording. Mm-hmm. All right, well, Beantown Podcast. You have any parting thoughts while you have the platform to speak to the world?
I hope everyone has a wonderful Valentine's Day, whether you are spending it with someone special, aka a significant other, or that significant other is someone in your family, or you're just spending it by yourself and just loving your me time.
I like that. I appreciate that. Alexa Brown, thank you very much for coming on the podcast to talk about love, Valentine's Day, Ariana Grande, London Fog, which up until this point I thought was a football team. We'll keep you on to wrap up here. Let me finish up the podcast here. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to our Valentine's Day special. This has been Quinn David Furness, host of the Beantown Podcast, the People's Podcast, one of Baltimore City's top 500 podcasts, and your number one source for misinformation. Shout out again to everyone who donated to the pledge drive. You'll be hearing from me shortly if you haven't already. Check your spam folder for Beantown Podcast at yahoo.com. Again, that's Beantown, BEAN, tape podcast at yahoo.com. And that's about all I got to say on that matter. So Check out the new website, beantownpodcast.com. Don't forget to use the hashtag friends of the podcast. We'll come to you live next week to discuss something or another. Check out the Beantown blog. We're going to be digging into our full bitchingness regarding weddings and plus ones. Thanks again to Alexa Brown for making her podcast debut. Check her blog out, A Traveler and a Scholar. Alexa, what's the best way to find that blog?
Well, there's a couple of different ways. One is the actual website, which is atravelerandascholar.wordpress.com, because we have not moved past WordPress editing. There's also an Instagram account that I run that's really, again, just pictures of food and books, most likely. I don't make very many appearances, but that Instagram handle is A Traveler and a Scholar.
Excellent. All right. For Quinn David Furness, for Alexa Brown, thanks for tuning in this week, and we will see you next week.